When it comes to your hair, we know exactly who you are. But did you know that we care for more? Did you know that from sourcing to delivery, we are committed to respecting the planetary boundaries? Sustainability does not come to the end. It's a process from the beginning. Because it starts with the way we source our ingredients, how we work to recycle the water used in our plants. When it comes to your packaging, we are committed to use 100% PCR and target less material and waste. When it comes to your salon, we are committed to reduce the water consumption by 65%. We manage the waste to maximize its valorization, and your hair is given a second life to generate the fertile soil. This is not a dream. We create a professional beauty that moves the world. If you didn't know, now you know. Hairstylist for the Future by L'Oreal.
Hi guys, nice to see you all. I can see that Joachim, you have just arrived to the darkest part of Sweden. Sounds great. Nice to see you, friends, and very welcome to this seminar this Sunday evening. My name is Gunilla Bergfeldt, and I am one of the members in Fondation Guillaume international fashion team. And this evening we will talk about how we can create different style with 3 different types of stripe techniques. And I know some of you also saw the last seminar with Glenn, and Glenn teached you how you can create with techniques, cutting techniques for men's style. And after summertime, we will have 2 different type of seminars as well. You will see Sasha. Sasha will teach you more how you can create with cutting techniques for fringe style. And Jesus will show you how you can play with updos. But today I have the opportunity and the honor to show you some stripe techniques. So I would like to share my screen with you and tell you a little bit more what we will see this 45 minutes here. So friends, first to start with, why working with color techniques and why working with stripe techniques is the first question. And when I work at the salon, I often get the question from the client. She asks me, Gunilla, I would like to have a more blonder feeling in my hairstyle. I would like to have some highlights in my hairstyle. And immediately I start to think about one picture in my head, the picture of my favorite technique. And I think that my clients also have a picture in her head of what she would like to have for style. But to be sure that these 2 pictures are the same, we have to start to communicate with our clients. Here we show you 3 different types of wishes for my clients. And you can see number 1 technique is a natural shimmer technique. These techniques gives the client an almost uncolored feeling, a very natural feeling on blonde shimmer through her hairstyle. If we look on picture number 2, on picture number 2 we have a more contrast stripes technique. This client are asking for to have more energy in her final result. She would like to create a more texturized feeling with stripe techniques. So you can see it's more easy to see the different type of stripes here in this fashion style. And the third client, she asked for a more almost full head technique. She would like to have almost one color all through the head, a lot of highlights all through the head. So here's 3 different clients, 3 different needs for the clients, and I have to learn how to do these 3 different type of stripe techniques. As you can see now in the base of the picture, you can see on the blonde shapes here, blonde on the blue shapes here. You can see on technique number 1, we are playing with a very thin slice. On technique number 2, you can see we're working more with a weaving effect, like small circles coming around. And technique number 3, also with a slice, but more with a contrast slice. So what will it be? It we see here the technique number 1, the natural shimmer. To be sure about that the client know what she needs are, I ask her, do you prefer to have almost an uncolored feeling? An uncolored feeling with a very natural shimmer of blonde shades through the hairstyle. She said yes. Okay, then this is the technique we're going to do. Here we will play with very small thin slice techniques. If we go to technique number 2, this technique will give your clients a more contrast feeling of stripes. As you can see in the pictures, the stripes are much more clear. You can see that the stripes gives much more energy. It gives the hairstyle much more texturized feeling. You can also see that you can see the client's own color, the darker feeling here, or maybe have you also added a darker feeling in the same time, the darker color feeling, in the same time as you add the highlight feeling. And here you play with weaving technique in big weaving technique blocks. And the third and the last technique will be this almost full head feeling. If you check the picture here, you can see that almost all of the hair is a blonde feeling, a highlighted feeling, but you have a very smooth feeling of depth and dimension of a darker feeling in the base, where we have left small thin slices of the client's own hair between bigger block slices with highlight material on. So here's 3 total different styles that the clients are looking for. On this picture, you can see that when we're using these 3 techniques, we of course using partings in each section. I will show you this very clear on the mannequin head. But you have some different opportunities when you're choosing the partings. You can choose diagonal forward partings, you can choose horizontal partings, or you can choose horizontal backwards partings. These 3 partings will give these 3 color techniques even more difference in the final result. So therefore, I would like to show you also that the 3 techniques is very important that you keep in mind. Would you like to prefer to work with diagonal forward, diagonal backward, or horizontal partings? And this will be very clear at the mannequin, what the difference in the final style it will give you. To be prepared for this seminar, it's a good idea if you pick a pen and some note paper to note something, good inspiration that I hope I can give you, so I can make your life a little bit easier in the future when you're working with stripe techniques. So these are the 3 final results we will work with today. To see natural shimmer, contrast, and almost a full head effect. So when you do the consultation with your clients, take care about what is the main thing, what is the wish, what does your client want? Because almost all our clients will say the same question, Gunilla, I would like to go blonder, I would like to have highlights. All these 3 clients say the same thing, but they want 3 totally different final results of the fashion style. So let's go to work now. Now we go, stop sharing this. Here we go. Here we have our mannequin. As you can see now, I have created 2 sections. I have divided the head in 2 big sections. Here is one section on one side and big section number 2 the other side. Today we will add stripe techniques on this part, on the half of the head. So if we go back to half of the head, we start now on the section behind the ear. We will start with technique number 1. Technique number 1 was the natural shimmer effect. I start here in the nape. Now I can choose. Would I like to go for diagonal backward partings? Can you see the partings here? Great, thank you. Or we can go with diagonal forward partings. The difference here will be if I go with diagonal forward partings, when this client will do an updo, you will see small, tiny stripes coming up when she does her updo. If you choose to do a diagonal backward partings, for example, here now you can choose to leave out some space of her own hair around the hairline that you do not color at all. So when she do an updo, you will see a frame feeling with her own color, and behind that frame feeling you will see the blonde texturized shimmer coming through. I asked my client and she preferred to have this more natural, very undone feeling. So therefore I go for diagonal backward partings. Every partings I will take will be about 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. Here you can see about 1 centimeter. And in this parting, I will just take out a very, very thin parting. You can see here, very thin parting. This one I will take out. I have prepared some lightener. Put it on the side. I take a paper. You can work with foil, what you'd like to. I put it here. I take some color material. In this case, I take lightener. Add on the strand. Put the ends in the paper. And then I go for another paper and put it on together. Here's slice number 1 is done. Then I continue. Next parting, around 1 centimeter will each parting be. In each parting, I will take a very thin slice. A very thin slice. The slice is so thin, so you almost think that nothing will happen here. And that is exactly what the clients are asking for. She will have a very natural, smooth feeling in the final result. I work with this part, you can see here, the end of my pencil to come a little bit closer to the base. And I put the ends in, and I take paper number 2 and put on the top. And here it's very clear, you can see the diagonal backward partings. I think we'll go for another one. We take 1 centimeters, 1 centimeters partings, a very thin slice here. And bleaching underneath, I take the paper, I add the color all through the strand, and I go for a new paper on the top. So here we have now three stripes, very thin stripes. Every parting is 1 centimeter, and from that 1 centimeter, I take a very, very thin slice and add, in this case, I work with lightening cream. Now we will continue to technique number 2. Technique number 2, I can of course work with horizontal partings, I can work with diagonal partings, but I prefer to work with horizontal partings. And that is why when I work with diagonal partings, It doesn't matter if the diagonal partings are diagonal forward or diagonal backward. When I work with diagonal partings, when that technique I add to that partings with flow in natural fall, it will leaves a very smooth feeling. When I'm working with horizontal partings and with that techniques will go in natural fall, it will be more contrast, more like block feeling. And that is exactly what I'm looking for now in technique number 2. I would like to have a stronger feeling with the stripes in this technique. So now I go for more horizontal partings. The partings are also about 1 centimeter. And now I go for much bigger weaves here, you can see. Quite big weaves, around 2 or 3 weaves, that's enough, because if we take more, we will go much smaller, and we will have a full stripes field effect. And here we will go for a more contrast stripes effect. We will add some lightning underneath. And here we go for the violet paper. It's very important that you have different colors on your papers. I'm just kidding. Glenn, are you awake up? Great. And here we add some bleaching on this. And now you can see we have absolutely different techniques. 3 big weavings here. And now I work with longer papers just to show you the difference. And I put this together. We continue with the same techniques. We go for horizontal partings, about 1 centimeter big partings. The first parting I did here, you saw I took bleaching in this part of the section. When I work with this technique, I would like to have a little bit like a bricklayer system, so that the weaving techniques, the stripes will show much easier in the final result. So here I have bleaching here on the end of the partings. So next one I will leave uncolored and go for the weaves like here. So here we have color, no color. Here we have no color, but here we have color. You understand it? So you go like a bricklayer system. And you add the lightener under, and you put the paper, and then you add the color material. This mannequin has not colored her hair before, so therefore I take the lightener from the base to the end. If I have had lightener, old color in the ends, old blonde color in the ends, I have worked with shorter papers and left the ends outside. I had not added any more bleaching or lightener on the already lighted part. And here I go for the last, also about 1 centimeter. And here you can see we have non-colored at paper number 2. So now I will go with color. So I have this bricklayer system. Why do you think I add color material on the side? Why don't I just skip that part and put the paper immediately and just work with the color on that side? What do you say, Glenn? Joachim has also an answer as well. Glenn, do you have an answer?
Yeah, the same actually.
The same answer, great.
For better situation.
Yeah, talk to each other. That's good. Like communication. Yes, exactly as you say. It's much easier for the color material to come through the part that we're adding color material on. And this is really important when you go with slicing technique, but because when you go with weaving technique, of course, when you go with weaving techniques, as you saw on the pictures before I showed you, when you go with weaving techniques, what you really do is that you create small circle forms that you are weaving up, and it's so easy that you don't know it, but it's so easy that you isolate hair material inside this circle that don't get connected to the color material, and therefore it's easier that you get a too much yellow or uncolored feeling in the base of when you do the weaving technique. So if you haven't tried that before, that's a really great thing to do. So my friend, this violet part now we created with color technique number 2. And number 2 was the contrast stripes effect. Let's say that this client has a lot of hair and she really would like to have a lot of texturized feeling with this stripe effect that we created in technique number 2. But she don't want to have such a stripy feeling on the top. Then there is something you can do. You can work with quite large weaving effects up to the crest line, because the hair under the crest line, it's hidden a little bit under all the hair the client is wearing. Above of the crest line, on the top of the head, here you can alternate between technique number 1 and technique number 2. You can do large variation of contrast stripes and very thin slice technique of this natural shimmer techniques that will give a very smooth feeling together with the contrast feeling of the contrast stripes technique. Of course, you can just work with technique number 2 and go with small and bigger contrast stripes, of course, weaving stripes. But it's a very nice thing to mix these 2 techniques on the top of the head when you choose technique number 2 under the crest line. So there is something you can absolutely take with you back home. Now we continue with technique number 3. Technique number 3, we will also go for about 1 centimeter big partings. 1 centimeter big partings. We will go here for horizontal partings. Technique number 3 is very similar to technique number 1, but in the opposite way. In technique number 1, we also took 1 centimeter big partings, but we took a very small shimmer of partings and we left a lot of hair uncolored. Here we do the opposite. Here we will have an almost full head colored feeling. So as you can see here, I take a very small part of the part here that I will leave out uncolored, and the big part of this parting, here I will go with bleaching or lightening. Now I have quite a lot of hair here, so it's important, as you can see, I work a little longer on the underneath, on the underside of this parting, so the color material really goes through. And then I continue on the top. I put the color material all the way here. And I go almost to the base. I have asked my client what she prefers. Does she prefer to have a quite blonde feeling to the base with a smooth feeling of her own hair color, or would you prefer to have more like a darker feeling all through the whole base? That's a very important question for you to ask your client. We will tilt the head a little bit so you can see it easier. And then we have the last one here, about 1 centimeter. I take a very small part, just like a wave, just like a shimmer feeling here. And then I go with the color material on the underside of this slice, put the paper, and add some color material here. Do we have any question? Have I maybe missed some question here? Yes, there is a hand up here.
I do have a question, actually.
Yes, please.
When you get with this last technique number 3,
Yes.
when you reach the top, would you actually place then the left out section at the bottom, or would you take the left out section at the surface to get that veiling, or the stronger color on the surface? What will be the best portion and the best option for the client?
Great question, and very important question. If I don't ask the client, I'm just thinking of myself. Most of the clients that are choosing this technique number 3, would like to have a more like a full head feeling of blonde feeling. So there will the answer be that I will leave very small underneath of her own color, but on the top, the last partings will be, yes, the color.
A little bit like a...
Exactly. But it is important to ask the client about that. And also, when I do on the top, I can continue as I did now with horizontal partings. When I all the way up, if I prefer that, I can also do like I do, for example, for a classic perm technique, when we are talking about section number 1. You can also do the section number 1.
You do the
Exactly.
Got
And
you.
here you have 2 possibilities. You can go with horizontal like this, partings. But if you go a little bit diagonal here on the top
You get
section,
a softer break.
exactly, you will blend it out much more.
And
And
has more flexibility in either
yes,
directions as well. Got you. Yeah.
Because we all know that in 2 weeks, the color will blend together. But today you will have a little bit contrast feeling between the colored part and the uncolored part. So when you work with diagonal partings, you always get a more blended feeling in the final result.
Perfect.
So that is really a thing to take care of.
Yeah. And also important to explain to the client, I would assume.
Yes, exactly. Now, when I came to the sections against the face, I think that is my favorite section, because here I really can communicate so much more with the client. And I will ask her a question that most of the clients never have got from her hairdressers. I will start to ask my client now, when you do your updos, when you do an updo, what feeling would you like to have around the face? Would you like to have a very natural feeling, a very almost an uncolored feeling, but with a shimmer of light effects? Yes, does my client say. Okay, what will I do? I will take, she's going away like that. I will take a very small slice, a small slice around the face. This small slice, I will have uncolored. I will have no color on that slice, because this slice will go like a veil over the colored feeling inside, and that will create a very smooth uncolored feeling, and that will also give the client an almost no outgrown effect during the days, during the weeks and the month and so on. So then I continue here with the same techniques as in technique number 1, the shimmer technique. I will go with diagonal partings, continue all the way through this section. I can also do technique number 2, the technique number 2 with contrast stripes, because the client can also say, I would like to have a very smooth feeling around the face, but I would like to have quite contrast feeling with my stripes in the hair. So if I go with quite contrast stripes here, like these, for example, and I leave a very small amount of hair here, when that will cover, so I will see stronger effects coming through, but we will not have any more outgrown feeling here. Let's say that my clients will tell me, when I do my updo, I would like to have like small effects coming through all when I do my updo. Then I have two possibilities. Otherwise, possibility number one, for example, I will go with, just let her stay on the, like that. Here we go. Possibility number one, I will go with diagonal forward partings. If I color all this thin slice, when she do an updo, she will have very thin, small, nice slice effects coming up. Or I can go for technique number two. I can go for more contrast weaving effects, and that it will be more like a nice blocked feeling coming up with more contrast stripes. So there we have two possibilities as we check with my clients. All my clients will tell me, when I do my updo, I will have a more like a full head feeling of blonde feeling. So if that is the answer, I will take out a slice around the face. And this slice will be colored all the way from the base to the end, depending, of course, on which type of color I have to start with here. Now I know that when my clients do an updo, she will have an almost full feeling of blonde feeling here around the face. After that, of course, I can choose the technique in this part. Maybe she really have chosen the technique number 3. She would like to have a full head colored blonde feeling, but that can also be that she had chosen technique number 2, a quite stripe contrast feeling in the length, but she will not have any stripes feeling around the face. Here she preferred to have a full colored feeling. So this small question will give your clients much more opportunities to what opportunities she have when she will do her hair a little bit blonder. And she will also see that you have so much more knowledge to give to your client when you start to cooperate together with the client and communicate with the clients with all these possibilities. And if you are a salon owner, or if you are a hairdresser that would like to have more clients around you, it's a great idea to create a color stripes menu at your salon. I know that everybody of you have your favorite stripe techniques. Add this technique to the menu. Have these 3 techniques as that's the base menu techniques. Shimmer techniques, more like the natural feeling, contrast feeling, a full head feeling. All 3 clients would like to have a blonde feeling, but in 3 different fashion styles. And when you tell your clients that your salon is a really good salon in color stripes, you will have more clients. And you can also play with this technique like as a money piece. Because, for example, if your clients have chosen technique number 3, we all know in 4-5 weeks, she will have a quite strong feeling of an outgrown effect in the base. So just tell her that she can come into your salon and you can just put up some nice slices around the nape, around the face, and add some color over there, and exactly around the partings, and if you have some splits somewhere. So there's so much opportunities if you really communicate and understand the possibilities with these 3 different type of stripes. So far, friends, do we have any questions here? Yes, Joachim, please.
I can see that you're working very direct with the application. Do you ever choose to do any backcombing in this for additional softness, or you actually choose to do more with the density pattern within your sectioning rather? Is there a difference?
Yes, absolutely. Really great question. It's absolutely different. Of course, you can do these smooth blending techniques, and you can do these backcombing techniques in all these techniques to add a more blended feeling against the base. And that is a great thing to do if you would like to have a more blended feeling. But that is also something you have to check with your client. When I work, as I did today, in a very direct way, when I put the color material on, I always work with a very low level of oxide. So I prefer to work with a low level of oxide. Of course, it's important that you work together with your color company to understand and ask them how to work with the color system you have at your salon. But when you work with a lower oxide, most of the time, the progressing time goes a little bit slower. And when it goes a little bit slower, it's easier to get rid
Control the
of
mixing of it. Yeah,
exactly.
Got
You will
you.
have a blended feeling of that.
Perfect.
So there is some different ways you can work here.
Supreme. Got you.
I have this gorgeous girl sitting here. We change this and we will see what happens. We take these very nice gloves away. Here we have the 3 different results. If we start with that part that is near to you, here we can see when we go through this part here, we will have almost a full head feeling. Here you can see technique number 3. You can see very smooth shadow of her own color, but it's the main thing is the blonde feeling here. If we go to the middle part here, the middle part, here you can see it's more like contrast stripes coming here all through. And that gives also a little bit more, a more texturized feeling in the length. If you compare to the first one, the technique number 3,
Solid, yeah.
Yes, here you get more focus on the shape, on the form.
For sure.
Technique number 2 will give you more focus on, you create more texturized feeling.
Movement and texture, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then when we go to technique number 1 here, when we check this side now, it looks almost uncolored. But if you compare that side, that is technique number 1, this shimmer effect, when you compare that to the really uncolored feeling here, that is uncolored. But here you can see a smooth feeling of a freshness in the hair. When I did that part, I was asking my client, how will she do when she do her updos? And she would like to have small, nice slice to be shown when she do the updos. So here I created that part with diagonal forward partings. So when I created with diagonal forward partings, when she do her updo, she will have a smooth feeling of small, tiny stripes coming up.
Very nice, yes.
So here you can see it's so important to really communicate with your client, offer the client a menu of possibilities. And one last thing, we can see here in the base, you can see there will be much more clearer effect of this technique number 2. Technique number 2 will depend also about how much hair material does the client have in her length. Most of the hair are a little bit thicker in the base and thinner in the ends. That means that in the ends, the color technique number 2 will blend together more than it will be in the base. If you already have blonde feeling in the ends or a thinner hair in the ends, you can add some darker color on that part of the hair that you don't do the lightener on. So that you create the same contrast you have in the base in the ends. So that is something also that it's very nice to add that to create the client style, so she really understand to get the full feeling. So that was what I would like to give you today. 3 stripes techniques: natural shimmer, contrast straps, and a more full head feeling. And how you can create with your partings. The partings have all the techniques the same size, 1 centimeter, but it was depending if you took a horizontal, diagonal forward, diagonal backward parting. And also if you take a small slice, a bigger slice, do you leave a lot of hair? Do you leave a less amount of hair? Do you do big waves? And do you do this Bricklem system? And maybe you create together and cooperate with these choose 2 techniques. For example, the contrast technique number 2 and the shimmer technique number 1. So good luck to you. And also thank you so much, L'Oréal Professionnel, for your sponsoring and to get this opportunity to give you inspiration.
We are the cutting edge. 110 years of avant-garde, of defying the present, to go further, to aim higher. We serve hair artists, artists committed to revolutionizing the salon experience, opening space for innovation, empowering to dare, tailored for each, created for all. We are the cutting edge, engaging senses, igniting desires, creating unique experiences to be unique as you. We are the cutting edge, boosted by tech. We push the limits of hair, tech in our products, tech in our salons, tech on all our platforms, tech in every fiber of our thinking. We are the cutting edge. Beauty tech to elevate, data-driven to connect, education to adapt, continuously to another evolving world, to be ahead of the curve, always. We are the cutting edge. We care for all hair types, for all humans, because hair defines who we are. We are the cutting edge. We are shaping the future, innovating for progress, caring for the planet, for less waste and more hope, creating the beauty that moves the world towards a more sustainable tomorrow. We are the cutting edge.